Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna show you guys how to cook rice and peas. First we're gonna start by showing you guys how to wash the peas. So we're gonna pour the peas in the bowl.
And
these are kidney beans. Small red kidney beans. Now we're gonna pour the water on it. Make sure you use cold water. And when you're washing the beans, you want to wash them. And the trick is any beans that float to the top, you do not want to use those. Anything that's cracked, you do not want to use them, because that means they're bad. That's why they're floating to the top of the water. So you want to make sure you pick those out. So anything that's floating on, anything that's on the top or the peas is cracked, you want to take them out. So once it's floating on top, that's the purpose of washing it. And you just want to wash off all the dirt and stuff like that, because you know peas do go close to the dirt. So you want to make sure you pick off. And so anything, that's what she's doing right now. I'll open your hand and show them the one that's floating to the top. Those are the ones floating to the top. They're broken, cracked. You want to make sure you take them out. There you go. Now usually wash your peas twice just to be safe. Go ahead. Just to wash. Sometimes some do slip, so you want to make sure you wash them twice. And there you go. See, there's a couple more that's floating to the top. Even if you buy the peas in the bag, sometimes that's just what happens. So you're gonna make sure, because you don't want to spoil your rice and peas. So let's see, she's still finding some more. Alrighty. And a trick to making sure when you're cooking your peas, you could also soak it the day before. Just put it in a bowl of cold water and let it sit. What that's going to do, that's going to make the peas more softer. And when you let it sit in the cold water, make sure you cover it so it can trap in that red color, because when you make rice and peas, you want to make sure the rice is red. Alright, so then you just let it soak overnight. When you're ready to cook it, they're going to look a little wrinkly, but because they were just soaking in the water, and it's going to make it more softer when you're cooking. Now here's our ingredients that you need. You need garlic, 1 scotch bonnet pepper, scallion, and thyme. And today we're going to use whole coconut to make our coconut milk. So this is going to be just a little twist that we do it. So if you live in Jamaica, it's like the authentic way of making rice and peas. You use real coconut and blend it or grate it to make sure the coconut flavor is a lot better than when you use the one in a can. Because a lot of time using one in a can, by the time it's finished, you don't taste the coconut. But when you do it like this, you will taste the coconut even when it's finished.
But it doesn't.
All right, you could also use the canned coconut milk. I prefer it this way, because this way you get a better flavor. But this is very time consuming. If you don't have time, you could just use the one in a can. But to me, this one has better flavor, and the flavor lasts a lot longer. As far as when it's finished, you taste the coconut in the rice and peas. All right, now we're gonna show you guys how to cut up the coconut. You want to cut up in good sized pieces to make sure they fit in the blender. We're gonna use a Ninja blender today. Cut up in like little small cubes. Like I said, it's time consuming, but this is the authentic way of making it. Because in Jamaica, growing up, we didn't have canned coconut milk. You'd have to get the whole coconut, bust it open, and grate it. Or if you was fortunate to have a blender, you blend it. But everybody had to grate the coconut to make rice and peas. So we're gonna keep it as traditional as possible. Okay, so now this is the water from the peas. So we purposely add a little extra water to the peas, and we're gonna use the same water from the peas to blend the coconut milk. So that's gonna add us extra flavor from the peas. Okay, you can use water, but this is the way we do it in Jamaica. So we're gonna add the peas water to the coconut and blend it. All right, so that's how it looks when we add the coconut to the peas water. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and blend it, and you're gonna see the finished product. All right, guys, we finished blending the coconut. That's how it looks. So now we're gonna show you guys. All right, guys, there you go. That's what it looks like when we finish blending the coconut. So now we're gonna strain it. So you have to strain it off to get the trash out of the coconut to get to the milk. Here we go. All right, guys, now we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna strain it. So first you want to pour some inside. Make sure it stays in the strainer. All right, then you're gonna use a spoon and just press it down. All right, just across. And you're gonna look in the bottom. You're gonna see that rich coconut milk, like how nature intended, not the one from the can. All right, now we're gonna empty that, and we're gonna do the process over. Look at that coconut milk. Tell me that doesn't look different from the one in the can. Now we're gonna repeat the process. This is how you get authentic Jamaican coconut milk. No fillers from the can and nothing. And trick is when you go to your store to buy a whole coconut, make sure they break it before you leave the store. A lot of times you might buy a whole coconut, you bring it home, and it's not good inside. So make sure they break it when you buy it. And make sure you buy the coconut. Don't buy like a coconut for jelly. Buy like the coconut with the old coconut that's for cooking inside your produce department. Yes, the dry coconut. All right, that's the last step. You try it this way. Like I said, it's a little time consuming. It's a little hard, but I promise you that coconut flavor is gonna last till you finish cooking the rice, and it's gonna be a different flavor than what you're used to from using the canned coconut. All right, now we're finished. Now we're gonna go over to the pot. Now, the trick of cooking your beans is, if you want your beans to stay full and whole, don't cook the beans all the way. Cook it to like 80 to 90%. Now, he's not supposed to burst. Okay, you're supposed to have a little bit of give to it, so when you add the rice and the final process, the rice and the peas would finish cooked together. Okay, so don't overcook the peas. Make sure the peas has a little bit of give, then you add the rice. Now, that's what the peas gonna look. When you squeeze it, you should have a little bit of give. It shouldn't mush right away, because if it mush right away, that means your peas are overcooked and they're gonna burst. All right, guys. Now, when your beans is at the level you want, cooked to the temperature right where you want it to be, now you add your coconut milk. See, the coconut milk is rich. You can see the color in the pot right away. Because this is pure coconut, not no can. This is coconut, the traditional Jamaican way. Look at the water. Your coconut milk, do not do that to the water. See, the whole look at the difference in the water than if you use your canned coconut milk. All right, now we're gonna add the onions, the garlic, and the green scallion, and the thyme. We're gonna pour it into the pot, and then we're gonna give a lightly stir just to make sure you spread it all over the pot. You can leave it whole. All right, now you stir it in. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the rice. Now we're gonna go ahead and wash the rice. It's important to wash your rice because I guarantee you these rice don't get washed at the manufacturer. So we're gonna show you the difference in the water. We'll wash our rice twice. Go ahead. Make sure you use cold water. See how the water is white and cloudy? All right, now we're gonna wash it, and then we're gonna pour this water off, and then we're gonna add, in the second wash, you're gonna see the difference in water. All right, this is the second wash. You notice the water is not as cloudy. All right, now we're gonna add our scotch bonnet pepper. Please don't let that pop. It's just for a little flavor. If that thing pop and you don't like spicy food, you're not gonna enjoy your rice. So be very careful when you're stirring it. Another thing is, as soon as you add the rice, you do not use spoon. Use a fork all the way through. Fork all the way through. Because if you use a spoon, your rice is gonna be stuck together. It's not gonna have that shelly Jamaican look. So once after this process, no more spoon. Fork only. Here you go. Now we're gonna add a little bit of salt. Add just a little bit of salt. Then we're gonna go ahead and add. All right, now we're gonna add the rice. Now the trick to make sure you have enough rice enough rice is
you use the fork, and if the fork is stand up,
that means everything is right. If that doesn't happen, you need to add more rice. Okay, so once you do that, and if the fork falls, you need more rice. And like I said, for this process, you want to use a
And when you stir your rice when it's cooking, always use a
fork, no spoon.
No spoon.
Okay, if you use a spoon, the rice is gonna come out all, what's the word? Stuck together.
Like rice porridge.
All right.
All right.
All right, now we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. You could use oil, or you could just use butter. So every 2 tablespoons of butter. And all the measurements and everything is gonna be in the description. And you want to stir it in, and then
Let it come up to a boil and
then
put it on
the
simmer.
trick is, right, don't have more than this amount of water in the pot. Okay, just use your finger to measure. Okay, you could also use a fork to measure, so that way, because you don't have too much water. So that's the right amount of water you want to have on top of the peas and rice. If you have more than that, your rice gonna come out all wet. Okay, so now we're gonna cover it and let it simmer, and we're gonna show you all the way through. Okay, now when it's at this point, you want to get a fork. Remember, fork only, and you want to stir it. Make sure it's not burning on the bottom of the pot. Just keep stirring it, and be careful not to burst that pepper. And make sure your stove is on medium-low.
Simmer.
On simmer.
And you can see how the peas is.
The peas, okay, because you want to keep the peas whole. All right. Make sure the water is drying out before you put it on simmer. And then you put it on simmer, let it sit and keep stirring it. And just want to spread it out equally. And you're gonna cover it and let it sit there and simmer. And when you're buying peas, there's different type of beans in the grocery store. So make sure you look for you're gonna get the big kidney beans or the small red kidney beans. But there's a lot of peas, so make sure you're getting the right one. If you get the wrong one, you might overcook it or you might undercook it. All right, now, and to get the rice perfectly, you do not want to spin the rice. You want to use the fork and dig it up from the bottom. Like put the fork under the bottom and stir it up, not to the side. Stir it up. Stir it up in the air. When you stir it up in the air, you're shelling the grains. But if you just stir it up, it could end up being mushy. So you want to make sure you stir it from the bottom up. So you want to use the fork and like you're flipping it up. All right, now you want to go ahead. You want to flip it upwards. Flip it up. Okay, so that's how you make sure your rice come out shelled. Don't stir it. Okay, when the water's gone, there you go. Then you want to go ahead and close it and then let it simmer some more. All right, guys, look, the peas is finished. Now we're gonna go ahead. We're just gonna stir it up, let you know. See, all the grains are completely shelled. All right, now we're gonna stir it up. Like I said, stir up, never in a circle. So that's how you do it. And like, you do not need to put the foil paper or the aluminum pan on top of your rice. It's only if your rice have too much water or you did not cook
If you don't.
All right, you do not need to put the aluminum foil on top of your pot or the saran wrap on top of it. The only reason why people do that is if they're cooking the rice and peas and the peas are cooked but the rice is not, they try to sweat it. So it's not necessary. And personally, I don't like to use the aluminum foil. I like to use the saran wrap to cover the pot. I'm just going to cover it to show you guys how we do it. But the rice is cooked and we don't need it. But I'm just going to demonstrate it so you guys could try it if you're in that problem. So the only time you would need to use it is if you're finished, the water's gone, but the rice is not cooked all the way. You sweat it. So we're gonna saran wrap it just to show you guys, but it's completely finished. All right, now you get your saran wrap and you just put it on top of the pot. That's it. That's only, like I said, only if you're finished and the water is not the pot is completely empty of the water, and the rice grain is not cooked. Then you put the saran wrap on top. I prefer the saran wrap because it sweats better than the aluminum foil. You can use the aluminum foil, but I just prefer the saran wrap because that's what I grew up with in Jamaica. We usually use scandal bag or just plastic bag, but this is better than the aluminum foil. So like I said, the only reason why people do this is if you're finished and the water is completely out of the pot and the rice grain is not fully cooked. Then you sweat it to make sure you cook the rice. But otherwise, you don't need it. Because see, we cooked it without it. I just put it on top to demonstrate to you guys. But otherwise, you don't need it. So as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a suggestion for a video you'd like to see. And we'll make it happen as soon as possible. Have a wonderful day. All right, there you go. And you pick up the grains. Look, nothing is sticking together. And we did not pop the scotch bonnet pepper because if you do, and if you don't like spicy food, you're gonna have a hard time eating the rice. But see, those are the stem from the thyme. And look at the grains. You could tell, you could count each rice grain individually. That's how you know you cook the perfect Jamaican rice and peas. So as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And have a wonderful day. Bye.